Welcome to the Travel Plus Loyalty podcast series. Your host today is Henrik Olsen.
My name is Rasmus Cornelius. I'm 36 years old. I've been a pilot for about a little over 10 years now, and I fly business or private aircraft. And then I'm also the founder of GoOlly.com, an online booking platform for private aircraft.
You just heard Rasmus Cornelius, who besides being a private jet pilot for more than 10 years, also have founded GoOlly.com, which I best can describe as a momondo for private jets. We will in this episode talk about both things. First on his role being a private jet pilot and what that job consists of, also compared to being a commercial pilot. Then a bit on GoOlly.com and what that booking platform does and help to solve the problem in the private jet air charter market. We are sitting in the GoOlly office in the north part of Copenhagen, and let's get started with the interview with Rasmus. Welcome, Rasmus. Welcome to the Travel Plus Loyalty podcast series. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, thank you, Henrik. Thank you for having me. My name is Rasmus Cornelius. I'm 36 years old. I've been a pilot for about a little over 10 years now, and I fly business or private aircraft. And then I'm also the founder of GoOlly.com, an online booking platform for private aircrafts.
Interesting. Let's start with the pilot part of things, and then we can touch a little bit about the GoOlly later on in this talk today. So, you said you have been a pilot for like 10 years. Which kind of aircraft do you fly these days? And are you able to fly?
At the moment, I'm rated on the Pilatus PC-12. But in my 10-year career, I've been flying, I think it's 8 different type of aircraft, smaller aircraft. I started in the Tampico, the Tobago, Trinidad, the good old Cessna 172, 177, the Partenavia, and also the Britten-Norman Islander. And yeah, since 2016, I've been flying the PC-12, and I fly both the legacy version and the next generation, where you have all the glass cockpit. And yeah,
I think some refers to it as iPad cockpit.
iPad, exactly. Yes, so, the PlayStation cockpit. Yeah.
So. If we look a little bit back to the number of aircraft you have, what is your favorite aircraft? Is that the newest one, or do you have something from, let's say, the old days that also attracts you a little bit back again?
No. My favorite aircraft is undoubtable the PC-12. I don't know of any other type of aircraft who can depart from Mallorca with 10 people, full of luggage, with the same or better comfort than a smaller jet. It even has a toilet on board, and then it is able to land in the southern part of Denmark on a 500-meter grass strip, and after a cruise in flight level 300. So yeah, the PC-12 does the job every time. And you can book it on GoOlly.com.
Yeah, we can definitely let's say ask our followers and listeners to say go check it out and see if you can find a sweet spot on an empty leg tour on GoOlly. That will definitely be an interesting day. We'll come back to that a little bit more. So during your career, if you tell it, how did you start as a pilot? You said you're 36 now. You have flown for 10 years. So. You're a little bit late starting as a pilot, I guess. What is the story behind that?
Yeah, I was a little late, and it took me a long time to get to the starting point of my flying career. But I always wanted to be a pilot as long as I can remember. And I think it started when my cousin introduced me to Microsoft Flight Simulator 95. Wow, I thought it was so realistic. I got so fascinated by the mechanic part and aerodynamic aspect of flying, and I just knew that I had to learn more about aviation. But I wasn't that good in school. In fact, one of my teachers advised me not to attend high school since my grades were so bad. So after elementary school, I actually didn't know what to do. So I tried more jobs than most people my age, I think. But in 2012, I finally had the courage to pursue my dream. And I started on an integrated pilot education program at the Copenhagen Air Taxi in Roskilde Airport. Yeah, and then
rest of history.
Rest of history, exactly, yes.
Okay. So a good advice is that even though you are not starting and as a very early, you can still, if you have a dream of being an aviation pilot, you can still do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
If you have a dream, go follow it and don't stop.
Okay.
Actually, I'm teaching I have 4 boys, and it's the same mindset. I'm trying to learn them to follow a dream and never give up.
I think that's. I think most people can actually use that advice, especially the young people that needs to find, let's say, their place in the world after school and maybe a little bit insecure on what to do. So follow your dreams, never give up. There is a light ahead in the tunnel if you are pursuing it.
Exactly.
That's interesting. A little bit back to the flying. You said you have 4 boys. So what is a typical day for a private pilot or business pilot? Is it a 9-to-5 job? Are you away from home 7 days a week and then coming home? How does it look?
It's definitely not a 9-to-5 job. And when you're a private pilot, actually you are always in some part working. So when I'm not flying, I'm always with the phone. I always have emails to write and reply. But yeah, a typical flying day for me as a private pilot actually begins many days prior to the departure day. As a private pilot, I'm doing everything related to the operation. So a couple of days before departure, I'll contact the arrival airport to tell them about our mission. Then I'll order catering if my passengers need it. And on the day of arrival, I'll show up an hour and a half maybe before departure to get the aircraft out of the hangar and make sure that it's in good condition. And then I'll fuel it. So I'm 100% ready when the passengers arrive. Then I usually greet my passengers myself and help them on board. Yeah, and then it's on to the fun part, the flying part. And when I'm flying, I'm usually all by myself in the cockpit. I fly single pilot. Yeah, and when we land safely, I'll make the aircraft ready for the night. As we say, we put the pajamas on the aircraft. We put the pitot covers and everything. Maybe I'll fuel it for the next day. And then I'll take a taxi to the hotel, check in, go for a city walk, have a nice dinner, all by myself. I don't know how many times I've done that, but I've been to some incredible places in Europe over the years. And yeah, you just got to see the world as a private pilot, because we are staying a lot with the passengers.
So if you take the example that it's not a 9-to-5 job, and you say you typically stay at least overnight, I think also a couple of days depending on your passengers, your clients. So you said also you are a single pilot. That's also a little bit a different experience from many of the listeners that typically fly commercials. And can you put some words on this single pilot versus the 2-pilot setup? Are there some different rules on what to do and what not to do when you're a single pilot?
Yeah, compared to multi-pilot cockpit, you have one pilot who is pilot flying and the other one is pilot monitoring. of course, as a single pilot, I will do both of those jobs. Regarding the regulation, there's a regulation on my medical, but because I'm under 40, I only have to do the medical test one time a year. But in 4 years' time, I will be attending the medical test 2 times a year because I'm flying private.
Okay. So basically the
single pilot, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So basically the major restrictions of it is that your health is checked twice a year, because you are the only pilot in the cockpit and so forth. So they need to have a little bit closer eye on the conditions or the health part of that. Otherwise, it's the same cockpit, right? So there is a space for two pilots in the cockpit. So
there is, yeah. And when I'm also flying commercially, we are 2 pilots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's because of regulations, or?
Actually not. It's because of service. Actually, so we are 2 pilots, and the paying passengers, they are more used to 2 pilots. So, but because I have so many hours on the type, actually I can fly it commercially, single pilot as well. Yeah.
Interesting. So how many hours approximately are we talking about on the PC-12?
I think 1,800.
It's a lot of flying.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the guys in Denmark with most hours on the type.
Okay. So a little bit back to we talk about the differences between a commercial pilot and a private pilot. A little bit compared to the 9-to-5 job. If you take commercial pilots that flies, let's say, into Europe, they typically in and out and back again. Of course, there are some layovers sometimes as well. But are there some more differences that you want to highlight being a private pilot compared to a commercial pilot?
As I said, as a private pilot, I have to do all the work besides flying. So making the flight plan, fuel, shopping, cleaning, scheduling the aircraft actually for maintenance, doing the finance part, scheduling of crews, and so on. And yeah, you have to get your hands dirty, and you have to to do everything about the operation. Do you know who's cleaning the toilet?
I assume that's you as well?
Yeah, that's me as well. So actually, I had a freelance airline pilot once flying for us, and he called me when I was on a holiday after his flight. So I took the phone, and he basically just called me to say that a passenger has thrown up in the cabin, all over the floor, all over the seats, and he was going on the way home now. Expecting me or some other guys to do the cleaning for him, because he was used to that in an airline. But as I said to him, could you turn back and please do the cleaning, because I'm on a holiday. So I think that's the main difference between a commercial pilot and a private pilot. No one does the hard work for you. And we as a private pilot, we're not hiding behind a door in the cockpit. We're greeting the passengers personally and making them feel safe and comfortable on the flight. And in the end, we will follow them all the way to the limo as well. So we have this passenger connection in a different way, I think, than an airline pilot.
Okay, so if we look at it, as I mentioned, the main difference is that a commercial pilot comes in the morning, of course, do some flight scheduling and so forth, and handle out the weather forecast and do some flight planning. They get the keys to the plane. It's already there. It's cleaned. It's ready. Food on board and all that stuff. It's also they order fueling, and the fuel car comes and fuel it up. But as a private pilot, doing it for the owners and so forth, everything, even basically also fueling it up as yourself, cleaning, as you mentioned. Good story about the toilets, but also catering and also so it's everything around actually owning and running a plane. It's up to the pilot to do that. Exactly. And if something goes wrong with anything in that part, you can only blame yourself. Okay. And I really like that part of the job as well. So there isn't any I can call and yell and say, why didn't you do that?
It's all up to me.
Okay. I think that actually is news to many. That again a little bit. I think thought it was basically just flying, but there are the other things about. So it also I think could be quite interesting to learn about maintaining and preparing the aircraft, all these kind of practical stuff on that part. So now you're flying. We are going out of Roskilde, which is your typically departure or home base. So which airport? What is your favorite airport to fly to, and why is that?
There is so many fantastic airports in Europe. I have a soft spot for La Mole Airport. It's in the southern part of France. It's around Saint-Tropez, and it's a challenging airport. It's located in a small valley with a lot of local traffic. And there's also helicopters flying from Saint-Tropez to the yachts to Cannes, Monaco. It's always a challenge flying Le Mans. And it's the PC-12 paradise as well, so there's, I think, always 8 on the ground and a lot of coming in. So it's a fun airport to fly to, but it's also, there's a lot of memories down there, because every time I'm flying Le Mans, it usually means that I have a week off in that area, just waiting for my passengers to finish their holiday. So yeah, it's hard getting in, but then you are off for 4 to 5 days, and then you can enjoy the sun and a glass of wine maybe.
So that's also, I guess, a little bit of the benefit being a private pilot or being a pilot for an owner or owners is, as you mentioned, that it's not a destination where you typically fly back home. You are there waiting for them to get back. So there is also some time and possibilities to experience the destinations on your own or with a co-pilot if that's the policy on that part. So what around, let's say, the mountain airports? Are there some mountain airports in Europe that you are favorite of?
Yeah, we usually fly Innsbruck every year in February, and yeah, that's also can be a challenge, especially if you have the firm conditions with the winds. But you can get very lucky sometimes, and you'd have a sky clear day, and it's very, very beautiful down in the Alps. But yeah, all mountain airports are incredible. Also the Norwegian airports as well is also very, very beautiful. Roskilde is also a very beautiful airport. Yeah, there's a lot of small island airports as well in Denmark.
Is it where the smaller airports, as you mentioned, the PC-12 could land on a 500 meters grass spot basically? So that's, I think, also is interesting, landing basically on a field, 500 meters, and then you're there basically. So options are many, I guess, with a plane like that.
Yeah. You are totally right. We can get into many more airports than traditional airlines can, of course. And yeah, as I mentioned, the PC-12 is just an amazing aircraft, capable of flying high, long, with a lot of payload. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's also one of the benefits that comes from a private plane. So the airport choice, closer to cities, closer to, let's say, mountains or smaller airports. What other benefits are there when you are traveling as with a private plane? Are there some, let's say, a couple of headliners that you would like to mention that these are really good advantages?
Yeah, as you said, there's a lot of benefits flying private. First of all, we're always waiting for you. So if you're late at a meeting, you just give me a text, and I will delay the flight plan accordingly. You only have to show up. We say 20 minutes before departure, and in the bigger airports, when you fly private, you often have your own security check. And if you show up early, there's a lounge, private lounge. And yeah, there's also the benefit that you're not linked to a commercial route network, so often you can go even closer. Yeah.
You have an example of, you say, going closer. So if we take a city in Europe, for example, where we fly commercial to, can you talk a little bit about, is that like Rome, for example, that you have a commercial, the airport in Rome? Are there any airports closer to Rome that you then can use as a private jet?
Yeah, well, actually, funny you mentioned Rome. When you fly, let's say Ryanair, you will land in Ciampino, that's in the southern part of Rome. If you fly private and a PC-12, you can land in Urbe. So that's in the northern part of Rome. So actually, you're closer to the city center. A different city could be Frankfurt. There's a small private airport called Egelsbach. That's very close to the city center as well, and it's much cheaper to land in.
So these are some of the advantages we talked about: the check-in time, easy access through the airport, private security, private lounges before the departure, the possibilities to delay the flight. I have never had a success delaying a flight, calling the airline and saying, I'm 30 minutes out, can you please hold the flight? It typically doesn't work in the way I'm flying. Then the smaller airports, the transfer times to and from the airport. So these are hugely benefits, if I may conclude that.
There's also that it's only you and your colleague, and we saw an increase in demand under COVID, and the travelers who usually was flying, first class business, they jumped to the private planes. Especially the PC-12, because you can get it to a fair price, and they are not coming back now. So they're still flying private.
They have seen the light.
They have seen the light, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. So we talked about the bookings and that they are staying. You have basically transferred some of the customers from commercial airlines. When it comes to booking, is it I think it's difficult to book an air private. There is not that who to call or where to write. Is it possible to do online and so forth? How can you? How is it historically, and what is the situation now on booking private airplanes?
Yeah, as you say, as a tradition, no, it's not easy. You have to maybe go to Google or write private plane, then you'll have a list of different private jet brokers, and you will write to some of them, and they will contact a lot of operators, carriers, and they will get a lot of quotes, and then you will, as a client, sit and wait. So that's why I founded GoOlly, which is an online booking platform for private jets. Here you get a price in 5 seconds, and you get a confirmed booking in under 5 minutes. It's quite unique. You can also type in the address where you want to go, and GoOlly will return the most suitable airport and the matching private jet for that destination as well. So yeah, I saw yeah.
There was some things lacking.
Exactly. Yeah. And
a spot in the market. Basically.
A spot. Exactly. Yes.
So basically, I think in my head, it's what you're saying is kind of Momondo for private planes. Basically, you search the departure airport, the time, the arrival airport, and you get some options directly with the price on, and basically 2 or 3 clicks later, you potentially could have booked a private jet to that. So that's easy. Are you telling me it's that easy?
It is that easy. Yes. And actually, we got some reply from a guy saying it was a little bit too easy. So yeah, as 5 clicks, then you have a private jet. Okay. Yes.
So 5 click and a credit card or a bank transfer, exactly. Whatever it is. So yeah. but still, it's okay. So that's actually that's the future now, that you're able to find that. And I also think that actually opens up some possibilities for quite many, because there are. I guess quite a lot of, let's say, empty leg flying. So you're flying one way with a client, and then you have to go home again. And those, is this something that you can see GoOlly could help making more visible?
Yes, of course we can make that more visible. Actually, right now our operators, our carriers, they can in the GoOlly system they can tell us where the planes are. So. The clients can get the planes even cheaper. But yeah, we're working on some incredible things where we can see the actual positions of aircraft and future movements as well, so we can predict and show these empty legs more clearly to the end clients.
And I'll say that's definitely something I think a lot of our listeners would benefit of or be interested in looking at. Could they get an empty leg flight easy, or could they identify it? Because that's not something that's easy to get hold on now or get transparent views on. So I definitely think that could be interesting. So we can just say what's out on GoOlly.com to look for the empty leg flights as well, and in general see what is the price and the possibilities of that. A little bit about pricing. So can everyone afford flying a private plane? Because in my head it's ridiculously expensive. Or something you talked about, the COVID have changed a little bit on some of the premium travels that actually they find it's possible. So what are the? Is it only for rich people?
Some sort, but no. But yeah, we can go to GoOlly.com and check. If you're 8 to 9 people, maybe you can get it to around 1,000. Yeah, let's say Roskilde to Kalmar in Sweden, and there's no direct commercial flight between those two airports. So let's say we are 8 people going on a business trip. We're going for a day meeting, so we want to return the same day. And if we take a look at GoOlly, we'll get the flight for a little over 1,000 euros per passengers, and the flight time only takes an hour. So we save the long check-in time in Kastrup, the connection in Sweden, in Stockholm, I mean, and with the commercial airlines, I just checked Momondo. It will take 6 hours in estimated transportation, and then we only have a couple of hours for our meeting before we have to fly all the way back. Alternative, if the meeting dragging out, we need to take all 8 people going on a hotel, and we need to pay for dinner as well. So yeah, and then you end up with the same price as a private jet. So yeah.
So there are some options actually for especially groups of people, or that can actually benefit of that, both from time savings, in and out in a day, don't have to spend extra hours in travel, which also have some kind of internal cost, efficiency-wise, hotels that you don't need, and so forth. So there are some possibilities actually for not only rich people flying there. To round it off, Rasmus. Some funny stories or funny things that you have seen over the years. Do you have a story that we can end this talk with on being a private plane pilot?
Yeah. When you fly the rich and famous, you get some funny things. You get to see some of funny things sometimes. And of course, Henrik, I can't go into details with you guys, but I can tell you about one of my first flights as a PC-12 pilot. I was hired to bring a famous singer to a birthday party at a private residence in the southern part of Europe. And after the flight, I was invited to join the birthday party. And I was so nervous. You know, it was a big castle-like mansion. and I was nervous because I didn't know anybody. And but when I arrived and I started to walk around, I was looking at all the guests, and I was, hey, I know that guy, and I know that guy, and I know that girl. Oh, and then I realized they were all celebrities, so that's why I knew them, and I got this, out of body moment where I just looked around and said, what the hell am I doing here? I'm just Rasmus, and it was just a completely different world, and it still is sometimes.
But I think we can end it. I think it's a fun story because it is a different world. Private planes are typically for the rich people and those who have a little bit more pocket money than normal people have. But it also is possible for let's say the normal business owners or normal companies or private persons to actually experience the benefits of flying private planes. So with that saying, I think we have rounded up or spent our time. So thank you, Rasmus, for joining, and best of luck, and see you on Go Ollie, I think.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and please go and check out Go Ollie.
This means that we are in the end of this episode of the Travel Plus Loyalty podcast. Thank you for listening, and safe travel.